But first, let's talk about what's hot now. Thank you. Thank you. We all know that kids like to play make-believe, but a first grader in Ohio is serving a 3-day suspension after he pretended to shoot an imaginary bow and arrow during recess. This is essentially what he did. He got 3 days of suspension. He's 6 years old, attends Our Lady of Lourdes in Cincinnati. Now, the mother got a call from the principal, and she asked him to explain, and then she said, "Is this really necessary?" And he responded in a letter to parents saying, "I have no tolerance for any real, pretend, or imitated violence. The punishment is an out-of-school suspension." So I'll repeat her question to you all. Is it really necessary? Did it warrant that kind of treatment?
I don't think the suspension was necessary. I think if the principal had a problem with this kind of play, this kind of action, or shooting a gun or something of that nature, they could have talked to the child. They could have talked to the parents. The suspension did not fit the crime. But I think I have a problem with, what about using toy guns or using a bow and arrow? What do you feel about that?
I think just to get, I'm going to answer that, but I think to get back real quickly to the point is, what I'm afraid of is for the children, because we've become so sensitive to every little thing. Kids can't play. And what you have to do, right, you have to allow them to play, and you have to allow them to understand they're going to grow up. We want to have a future of people who are confident and know how to deal with situations, not scared and afraid to live life.
It's more about the dialogue, which we say.
Absolutely, and you're right. They should have communicated to the child, because sending a child away and saying what you did was wrong and not explaining to them we're scared.
We don't know what they did.
No,
didn't
it's
say
true,
to the
and
child,
we can all agree that this seems like an overreach, but, you know, the job of good parents and good teachers is to set those boundaries, and we, at some point, need to just trust the teacher that they know what they're doing. You know, I mean, it's true. But you have to set black and white.
Tolerance policy, though, that zero tolerance. Yeah. It doesn't allow for any gray area. It's always black or white.
It is black and white, but I mean, you need to use common sense. I think, yeah, 3-day suspension it's an overreach. That shouldn't have happened. But these kids need boundaries, and if you start breaking those boundaries, then they're going to think that they can do whatever they want.
I think boundaries should start with hitting and not with pretending to play cops and robbers.
But you
like
weren't there. It could have been malicious. He could have been like, I'm going to kill you.
We probably don't know enough about it. But if it wasn't that, then I would
know, but
think
you have
that
to just trust the teacher that she knew what she was doing.
I was a terror at 6. I would have probably been arrested by today's standards. You know what I mean? God, I don't know. I think it's a little bit much.
You know, you asked about toy guns, and now I feel sort of like a bad mother. My middle child loved to play with guns. He just loved to do it, and we wrestled with it forever. We had like the water guns instead, and the more we kept it away from him, the more he wanted it. And we finally let him have a plastic gun, and he played with it. He got sick of it, and he's now an adult. He's never been near a real gun. He has no interest in guns. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's hard as a parent sometimes to know what to do. And if you take it away altogether, sometimes it makes them want it all the more.
I think to answer your question, though, I think maybe this principal is putting up these rules, because of school shootings or promoting violence. But if you bring in a toy gun, if you pretend to do something, you know, it's all about dialogue with these kids and how you talk to them. And I think this sends a message to the kid. It sends a wrong message to the kid. I think you can try to talk to him as an adult a little bit. Say that we don't do this. I tell my kids, you don't do this. I tell my kids that they don't do this. I go, you do not point your finger.
You think the kid is going to be violent doing something like that? The answer is not. The answer is not to send them home. The answer is to maybe if you think they're violent like that, they need help. Why would you just send that kid home like that?
Talk to them. All right, let's move on. Yesterday was Election Day, and in Houston, Texas, residents voted down a controversial ordinance that would have protected gay and transgender people from discrimination. It's something that we've been talking about a lot. It's called HERO, actually, in Houston, and people voted it down. Those who supported it say that the opponents used scare tactics at the end, because this had been a very heated debate, and they focused on the one part of the ordinance that allowed transgender men and women to use the bathroom they identify with. And the opponents argued no men in women's bathrooms. In other words, that these people would go in and molest girls and women. Right. And they ended up winning. You know, that ordinance was knocked down. Lance, I know you feel very strongly about that it was scare tactics.
Yeah, I mean, fear-mongering at its best. But this not only protected transgender and gay, but
everybody.
Race, religion, all over, and everyone forgot to talk about this. But I mean, just let me tell you this. At 5 years old, I knew I was gay. And every single day, I would pray to God that I would turn straight. From 5 to 21 years old, that was my daily prayer. And I hated myself. I completely hated myself from being gay. And, you know, being an NSYNC, letting someone know that I was gay. I thought I was gonna get fired. The guys were gonna lose their job. All my crew, everyone was gonna be out of a job. So that was a lot to have on my shoulders. Take that one step further. Imagine you look down, you're like, this is not my body. I don't understand what that feels like because I'm not transgender, but I believe them. I believe them because I know transgender people kill themselves every single day. So I couldn't imagine, being in that body, and then you just wanted to go to the bathroom, go into a stall and take care of your business.
And the most frightening place for somebody who's transgender is a bathroom, a public bathroom.
Exactly.
They're the ones who get harassed.
And now you're forcing them to go into a men's bathroom dressed in women's clothing. Look how dangerous that can be. And look how uncomfortable it is for everyone in that bathroom. So I just don't understand this, and I don't understand how people can't grasp this.
I wanted to say this because, Lance and I, we had a heated discussion about it. I mean, we love each other, we have to say that. But it, for me, and I get it, it is a tough decision, but I understand. For me, it's like, I can understand how a woman could be uncomfortable not knowing whether a man is transitioning, whatever his situation is. So I didn't think that we should have one person feel comfortable to make another person feel uncomfortable. What I felt we should have done is we should focus on having a third option. I know it takes a lot of work, but we should do something like that so that everybody becomes comfortable and not alienate anyone. So I don't want to see anyone become
in real life, not everybody is ever going to be comfortable with anything.
Exactly.
That's the reality.
And there's 200 cities already in the United States where laws like this have already been passed, and we haven't.
This was put on a ballot. I mean, a lot of times what happened in Houston was the city passed the ordinance. That was fine, and then people got angry and said, no, we're going to put this to a popular vote. The city council passed it.
There are people that do fear mongering, so I don't want to diminish that, and I understand that that is something that happens, but I want to make it very clear that in a situation like this, where people don't know and it's confusion, there also has to be some time for people to kind of get on board. So I don't want you to think people are against the gay. We're worried about the people that are going to abuse that, because while you may not, there are people that are going to go, you know what, there's loopholes for me to jump through. I'm going to jump through.
People are going to abuse that no matter what.
No, absolutely.
For anything, I've been listening to this argument for 18 months going, oh, I never thought of that. We talked about that too.
It's true.
Really? Yeah,
but think
you're putting an idea in someone's head.
Go back and change this ordinance. What the positive takeaway from this is maybe they can go back and rework it and try to work on doing a different scenario.
They're going to try to rework
it. So, like you said, there's 200 cities that have this already. It takes time to understand what transgender means and what this means for our community. So give people some time.
And then get that unisex. Listen, Lance, I want to go to the bathroom with you. Okay, we can go to the bathroom together right now. I'm fine with it.
That would be great. All right, a day doesn't go by when Donald Trump is in front and center in the news, but yesterday's tweet by Mr. Trump is causing outrage. Now, here's the tweet. It is a partial retweet photo montage from a Trump supporter. It features anti-Jeb Bush images and a Nazi swastika. There's one image of Bush, whose wife is Mexican, a sombrero next to a cactus. Trump's campaign has said, look, he didn't realize, he didn't see these images when he retweeted it. It has... I'm just saying, yeah, somebody's going, yeah, right. It has since been deleted. But this is a guy who says he's on top of his campaign. He runs it from beginning to end, but then he misses these kinds of things. I don't know.
The buck stops with the boss.
Yeah.
The buck stops with Trump. He is the boss. And the sad part about this? He retweeted it. It's already, he's taken it back. He's taken it off. It's already out there.
He knew. Apologize for it.
I think it's a great thing. Here's the thing. I think it's a great thing that he did this, and he continues to do it. He did it. He also made fun of the Iowa voters. He's making fun of everyone. Let him dig his own grave, okay? People are starting to see who he is. Yeah. He's racist. He's a bigot. He goes against women. So let him dig his own grave and reveal that he truly is unpresidential. Let him do it.
This is what I've been saying the last 2 months, that Trump had disappeared in this campaign. Now, I was waiting for something like this. Watch him rise in the polls now, because all those igniting that voter.
I think that it was true, and this is me second day defending Donald Trump. I might as well just vote for him. I have been the person that has retweeted something and not paid attention, because as soon as I see my name or somebody shares something, I just innocently think, oh, this is something that's positive.
You're not running for president, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, not yet, but good grief.
All right. We'd all be better off. All right, on a lighter news brief, Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders may find himself the butt of some jokes because his image is now featured on a pair of underwear with the message, who approved this? Feel the burn. There's a Vermont company. They launched this as a fun side business. It's $15. Men and women can get these because the senator said he prefers briefs over boxers.
Do you think this is unfortunate placement of where they put the feel the burn?
Yeah, really.
Feel that burn.
I just wonder the back instead of the front.
I'm like, this is not a chick magnet. I don't know if I saw these
That
and
is
been
some
like, I'm going for that burn.
That is some ugly underwear right now. But I mean, I understand this. I mean, NSYNC, we had all kinds of merchandise. You go to Claire's, and I mean, it had everything. I'm sure I had underwear that said like "nice bass" on the back.
You're cute.
But the nice thing about this, if you want to consider buying them, 10% of the proceeds go to support injured service members. So that's a nice thing.
Okay.